And when you look to multiply, there's a specific relationship that has to exist in order to multiply. Okay, and that special condition is the number of columns in the first matrix that you're multiplying has to be equal to the number of rows so this is the only way that you can multiply two things. And so if you look at something where you have a 2 by 3 and a 3 by 3, okay, when you're looking at that, okay, can you multiply these two matrices if your A is a 2 by 3 and your B is a 3 by 3? Okay, so the number of columns, remember it goes rows and then columns, so this number has to equal the number of columns. So when you list out the dimensions of your matrix, you're just looking to see the connection here between these close elements. So are 3 and 3 exactly the same? Yeah, so you can multiply a 2 by 3 times a 3 by 3. Okay, how about a 2 by 3 and a 2 by 3? No, once again, all you need to do is just look when you think about the dimensions, these two elements that are right next to each other, okay, are they exactly the same? If they are not, then you would say that this product AB is undefined, okay, because it does not fit that particular pattern. Okay. When you set up to actually multiply a matrix, let's talk about what that's going to look like. Bless you. All right, so first is AB possible? Can we take A times B? Okay. A is what dimensions? It's the number of rows, which is 3, by the number of columns, which is 2. And then B is, again, the number of rows, which is by the number of columns, which is. So can you multiply these? Yeah. So when you multiply them, once you figure out that you can multiply them, here's the way that you set this up. Okay. You take the first column. Okay. Your answer, anytime you multiply your matrix, your answer's going to be these outside values, these outside dimensions. So we know our answer is going to be a 3 by 2 matrix. Okay. So once you figure out that you can multiply them, you know the answer is going to be a 3 by 2. Your rows, so when you look at this, your total answer is going to be 3 rows and 2 columns. So when we look at our rows, you're going to start with the first row, numbers. Okay, so along the left here, we have a 2, a -2, and a 0. These are the first rows from group A. And because it's a 3 by 2, this is going to give us one column. We'll have a second column with the same dimensions, 2, -2, and 0. Okay. Now, what you're going to do in this is we're going to combine another set of elements through this. Okay. And when you find these corresponding pieces, you're now going to take your second row. I'm going to do it in a slightly different color, but I'm still going to keep it red. So after you take this first column, you are going to multiply that by specific values. Right? And again, it's going to fit this 3x2 format. So here's your 3 different rows and your 2 different columns. Okay, we're now going to move to the second column in our first set. Okay, and that becomes this second group, and it's going to be the same thing. So it's going to be 1 times some quantity, 0, and 3. Okay, so we're just going to copy these down. Thank you. Okay, so you're just going to take the elements from this first matrix, and you're going to place it at the beginning of each of these in those corresponding spaces. Okay, once you do that, you're then going to go to the second element. Okay, and so if we look at the 4 and the 2, that's going to go in all of these spaces. So you're basically distributing that 4 through. We're then going to move down to the second one, the 2. We're going to distribute that through as well. So the 2 will go here. So there's the first column of the second group. And then we're going to do the same thing with the remaining piece. And that is, in this first group, we're going to place the 3s. And then this last group, we're going to place the 0s. And so this is where the pieces fit into place when you're dealing with a matrix. And then you simplify your expression to get your answer, which again we expect to be a 3x2. So if we look at this, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 times 2 gives us a total of 10. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, plus 0 gives us negative 8. 0 times 4 is 0, plus 3 times 2 gives us 6. So here's the first column entries. And then in the second column, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 times 0 gives you a 6. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, plus 0 times 0 is negative 6. And then finally, 0 times 3 plus 3 times 0 gives you 0. So this winds up being your final answer, which again, if you're entering on the computer, 10, 6, semicolon, negative 8, 6, semicolon, 6, 0, close off the brackets. So that would be the form of your answer.